coming up. If you've seen the last 3 videos that we did with Mike Schwartz and Chevrolet regarding his service dog experience, this is our final video in that series, meeting with Gina Schwartz, Mike's lovely wife, to talk to her about her perspective on things and how Chevrolet and the service dog have helped not only Mike, but their family and everything. So thanks for joining us, Gina.
Thank you.
So tell me, obviously you and Mike have been together for a while, and you were with him before he got Chevrolet.
Yes.
So what were some of the things that Mike was having challenges? Like, what did you notice that you thought, okay, this service dog is going to be a good idea?
Well, before I didn't know what someone with PTSD, what their issues really were, how they acted, how to, recognize it. Mm-hmm. But over time, as I learned when he got Chevrolet, what the signs were, I look back and there were tons of them. I just had no idea. But one thing for sure was, like, he is not a spontaneous person at all. If there's going to be a trip to Walmart, it's going to be like 3 to 4 days of planning to go. And I never understood that. I just figured, oh, well, he's not spontaneous. Okay. Because we'd be like, wake up on the Saturday, well, let's go do this. And he's like, yeah, no, we need to plan that. And I'm like, it's a trip to the store. It's not a big deal. But, and then as we had kids, our first child, she was the same way. She goes, why doesn't he want to go out and do anything? And I was like, I don't know. It just takes him a little longer to get his mind in the right place for it. So, at one point, he finally got hearing aids because he has hearing loss from the Gulf, and that helped a lot. And he was still not picking up on some things hearing-wise. He has a back injury as well, and I took him to the expo center. They had the pet show.
You told me about that.
Yeah, and it freaked him out how the dogs were reacting to him.
Right, you mentioned that.
And I told him, let's go look, because there was going to be a few organizations there with service dogs. I said, I think you could use one, because his cup was overflowing. He could only take so much at work and whatnot. So that was an eye opener for him, and to see how it helped other people that were. I'm not going to say his case wasn't bad, but when you're looking at Vietnam vets that don't want to come out of their basements,
right, for
years, and now they're public speaking, it's like, you got this. So we went home and I started filling out the paperwork. I was like, you're going to have to put in the information that's the detailed stuff, how you feel and what brought it all on and all that stuff. So
and he did mention to me how
that took him days,
a long time, because he had never even talked about it, let alone put it into writing.
Yes. He would avoid talking about any of it because it just put him in a bad place in his mind. And to me, he's an open book. I can look at him and tell him, get out of your head, or just stop. And he'd be like, well, damn, how do you know that? And I'm like, I just know you, just stop. And so Chevrolet is, she's the princess of the house, despite we have girls. But she, bless her heart, has to work a lot, not only with him, but with our daughters as well. When there's arguments or anxiety on any one of them, she's like, she'll go back and forth, not knowing.
She picks up on.
Oh, she picks up on everybody.
Wow.
And even when he goes out in public, she'll pick up on somebody, and she'll look at him for permission, basically, not just to go say hi. She'll go and she'll nudge them, like, you need to pet me. You need to take your mind off of whatever it is. So she works on other people.
He mentioned that. You told me a story about the gentleman in the church.
Yes.
How, and then he found out that the next day he had an emergency gallbladder surgery.
Exactly.
How crazy.
He went to a VA appointment a while back, and the doctor, I think it's his primary, she doesn't like dogs. She had a bad experience with them, but she's okay with Chevrolet. And Chevrolet went right up to her leg, and he goes, are you feeling okay? What's going on? And she says, why you ask? He goes, because Chevrolet's alerting on you. There's something not right. And she goes, hold on 1 minute. And she left the room and she brought a nurse back in. And she goes, tell her what you just told me about Chevrolet. And he did. And she says, there was a gentleman in here before your appointment that ran me down with his scooter. And she was going down to the ER to get x-rays and stuff on her leg.
What?
Yeah. So it's really, really weird.
First of all, how bizarre that someone runs you down with their scooter.
Yeah, we're going to be gay.
Second of
you never
all,
know.
the fact that Chevrolet picked up on that is incredible.
It is. It is. She'll also pick up on people that she is like freaked out by, and she will growl and pull him away. And she's done that one time in a parking lot. And I wasn't with him, so I didn't get to see it. But more times than not, she's friendly to everybody.
Right.
And she loves kids. And
so before he got Chevrolet, you could, like I said, once you kind of
figure it out,
you saw, or looking back, you could tell, like,
and like everyone does, they learn to avoid all those situations because he's not going to be comfortable there. So it's like, well, we're just not going to do that. And then that's like the first thing they teach you. It's like, nope, put him in that situation and let him learn how to get around it and work through it. And so we enable from the beginning.
Sure.
Just because I didn't have the knowledge. But now I look back at past relatives and that were in military positions at one time or another, and I'm like, holy cow, did they have PTSD? And now I understand why they acted the way they did, and now I can just see it.
Sure, I bet. Once you're around it enough and the signs.
Exactly, you just pick up on it.
Right.
Yeah.
So since he's gotten Chevrolet now, I think he said he's had her since 16, about 8 years now.
Yes. Well, she's 7 years old.
Okay.
So it would be little. Ironically, I went down to a caregivers retreat. We just rented a house down in Topsail with a bunch of the ladies, and we went to the Puppy Developmental Center on that trip in Wilmington, and we were holding a litter of puppies, and Chevrolet was in that litter. Isn't that weird?
Wow,
That was in like March, or she was born in March. We went down in May. So the rate they grow, she was, they're tall, they were just big fluff balls.
Right.
But it's kind of a full circle type thing. Because he went through several dogs.
That's what he said. Yeah.
Yeah, it was three. Wow. She went out. But anyhow, I mean, at the end of the day, they're still dogs.
Right.
And those chose to be dogs rather than help people.
Sure.
Which is whatever. But she's great. She lays on him sometimes all day long.
So what do you notice now? Is it just in talking with him in our earlier videos, you can tell that he has a little bit more of a sense of relief or freedom that he can get out and do stuff, and that has to impact the family and impact you guys.
Right. I mean, it's a job to take her out with you. I mean, you got to make sure. Well, if it's around her feeding time, that you either have food with you or she's eaten, or, make her go to the bathroom before you leave. When you get there, let her go to the bathroom. It's like having a little kid with you. And there are some days that she's like, yeah, I don't really want to do this. I want to be home, or I don't want to listen. And oh God, there's a leaf, and she'll go after a leaf. She's still a dog at the end of the day. So, but 9 times out of 10, she's right there looking at him, trying to keep in touch with him, with his feelings and what he's thinking, or whatever smell he's giving off of anxiety. She will, and some days she just wants to be away from him. She needs to decompress herself.
Sure.
So she'll go into a corner and lay down.
Well, it's got to be mentally exhausting for her.
Yeah.
To essentially be on guard all the time.
Okay. Yeah. I fuss at her in the morning because when I try to go wake him up, she stands up, she makes a circle in her bed, and she lays back down. And I'm like, you're supposed to jump in the bed and help me get him up, Right. And then after a while, she'll get up and she'll jump up there. But every morning, that's her pattern. So, and then she'll come downstairs before him, and I'm usually down there, so I let her out, and then she's like, you think you're going to feed me? Because usually Mike does,
Right.
If I know he's not coming down that fast, I'll feed her. But she is very attached to our oldest daughter, Katie, and I don't know who's going to miss Katie more, me, the dog, or Savannah,
Right.
when she goes off to college. But Chevrolet gets very excited when she walks in the house. But Mike's a lot calmer. He's not. Before, you could feel the tension in the air when he's really amped up, and there are times I have to just remind him, calm down, or back off the girls a little bit. You're a little too snippy. And he's like, well, I don't feel snippy. And I'm like, you are snippy. Just bring it back a little bit. And he'll go sit with her and just pet her, and he'll be fine in a few minutes. And it's just every day he's learning something from her.
Sure.
And a lot of times he's like, she won't listen to me. She won't do this. She won't do that. And he's really amped up and he's mad at her. And I'm like, she's alerting on you and you're not listening. You need to stop what you're doing, pet her, bring yourself back down to earth, and then go about your day.
Yeah, you're mad at her. She's mad at you.
Exactly.
Right.
She's pissed because he's not listening.
Right.
And he's pissed because she's not listening. And I'm like, good God, just...
Like an old married couple.
Exactly. Like, go to your own corners or something. I don't know.
So what's been like, what's been the biggest thing you've noticed? Is it the calmness? What's been the biggest? It's probably been a lot, but.
I don't know if he'll always be a little hyper vigilant.
Sure.
But I don't think is as much, or he's masking it, one of the two. Because we'd sit on our back patio and he was like, do you know how many places somebody can be hiding right now to shoot us? And I'm like, well, I don't think of those things.
Not until now.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, now, great, thank you for putting that in my
he
head.
mentioned in one of our videos that he had just gone to his first movie.
Yeah.
Because that was like, he's like, I just couldn't handle it. He's always on military mode.
He is. And he's like, okay, if something ever happens, this is what you do. And I think all military or law enforcement do that with their families. So like, okay, there's going to be a code word or in this situation, this is what you're going to do. And, we've been joking with our oldest because for the longest, the whole time she was growing up, if she didn't do something she was told, his line would be, your failure to do what you're told is going to get you killed. And I'm like, she's 6 or whatever age she was. I'm like, oh my God. So
you don't finish your milk.
Yeah, that's it. You're going to die.
That's it.
So we were joking about it the other day, Katie and I was like, next time ask him if you're in a hostage situation or are you still just talking about like algebra. Just bring it out there.
Right.
But he doesn't do that as much anymore, which is, thank God, because I was getting old.
He seems like he recognizes it.
He does.
Because he didn't know either. He said, I just figured this was normal.
Exactly.
So he recognizes it more now too, I think.
Right. And most Marines, I think, they grew up in a harsh environment and when they were younger, and his wasn't, it wasn't the best, but it wasn't like detrimental.
Right.
And then he got married and then that didn't work out. So that just keeps building on top of one thing after the other. And that's how his cup got full, basically. And one day he called me, I think he was working in Richmond, and he goes, hey, I was going to lunch, and I just decided I'm not going back. And I'm like, okay, where are you going to go? And he goes, I'm actually sitting in the VA parking lot. I'm going in to talk to somebody in the VA. I'm like, okay, call me when you're done. Let me know how that goes. And I was like, what the hell is he doing?
Right.
So, but that's when he went and spoke to them about vocation rehab, and he didn't know anything about it. Then the lady he spoke with gave him the whole lowdown about let's get you back in college and finish your degree and do what you want to do. And he's like, okay. So I said,
Chevrolet probably would have never.
Well,
we were
in the middle of getting Chevrolet.
Oh, okay.
I do believe at that point. I don't think he didn't have her yet. We're still kind of waiting on that. And
so he had some stuff going.
Yeah, and even when we were trying to get Chevrolet, there was a point where they sat us down and told him that, you still have a lot of walls that you're not letting down.
Mm-hmm.
And until you do, you can't go further. And that was like a stake to the heart. And they were like, I don't want you screwing up your kids like I screwed up mine, is how the guy said.
Sure.
And I was like ready to just climb over the table saying, oh, that's not what you say, but that's what he needed to hear.
Sure.
And he's like, go back home, do your studies, do what you got to do, and when you're in a better place, you reach back out. And you know, it was a few months, and then you reach back out, and they're like, okay, let's do this again.
That's awesome.
We have a dog I want you to meet. So
That's awesome.
and then
Here we are.
here we are.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing.
Sure.
Like I said, we did some really good videos with Mike earlier,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to get your perspective because I've always felt, you know, whether it's the husband or the wife, the veterans obviously doing their service, but the other person that's back home
Yeah.
is still serving as well.
Yeah. I mean, there are some out there that are just very broken, and you know, they're alcoholics and the drugs or whatever, and it is a horrible situation for the family, because they don't know where to go to get the help, or they haven't reached that level of I'm ready to ask for it. But self-medicating is clearly not working. But thank God I don't have to deal with any of that, because he's nothing like that.
Right.
You know, and like you said, he recognizes his own behaviors, and now he knows how to deal with them.
That's awesome.
So.
Well, thanks again for taking the
Thank
time.
you.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you get to see a chance to see all 4 videos in this series. I think you're going to be very impactful. And like I mentioned in the last video with Mike, if you know anybody who's potentially dealing with some challenges, or could maybe use the help of some VA services or the service dog, reach out, talk to somebody. You're not alone. You don't have to do it by yourself. And again, thanks for stopping by. We'll see